Hello, we're going to look at multiplying complex numbers. So what I need you to think about is that multiplying complex numbers is much like combining like terms. So when we combine like terms and we're multiplying, we use distributive property. I also need you to remember that I squared is equal to -1. We've seen that in a lesson before, so now we're going to pull that back up and use it again. We also need you to remember to simplify, if possible. All right, so let's go ahead and start on this. So we are asked to simplify and write our answer in the form of a plus bi. So -2 multiplied by 2i would just be -4i. Or you could write it as the number part, which is 0, minus 4i. Let's move to the second one. Here we have 4i times I. So this time I've got my 4, but I times I would be I squared. And what did we say I squared is? I squared is -1. So your answer would be -4. Or you could write it as -4 plus 0i. Here, we've got our set of parentheses, so we're going to use the distributive property when we simplify. We've got 5i multiplied by 5. I'm going to write to the left here. We've got 25i. And then we've got 5i multiplied by 5i. Well, this time that gives us 25i squared. Now remember again, I squared is -1. So this would be 25i plus 25 multiplied by -1. That gives us 25 times -1 is -25. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write it so that you can see it. But keep in mind that we write the real number part first. So I'm going to say my answer is -25 plus 25i. All right, let's move on. So this time you should be going, oh my gosh, that looks so familiar. Some of you call it FOIL. I simply call it distributive property. So that's what we're going to do. We've got -2 minus 3i times 3 minus 5i. So at this point, we are just going to multiply -2 times 3. That gives us -6. -2 times -5i gives us positive 10i. Then we're going to do -3i times 3. That gives us -9i. And then -3 times -5i gives us positive 15i squared. So now we're going to go ahead and clean this up a bit. We are going to do -6 plus 10i minus 9i. And remember here we've got plus 15 times -1. So that gives us -6 plus 10i minus 9i minus 15. So we're going to combine like terms. -6 minus 15 is -21. Positive 10i minus 9i is positive I. And that would be our answer. Now here on this one, we've got -1 minus 2i squared. Keep in mind, this exponent says double what's in the parentheses. So I'm going to write it as -1 minus 2i multiplied by -1 minus 2i. And then we just do our distributive property again. So we've got negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Negative 1 times negative 2i is positive 2i. Then negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2i. And then we've got negative 2i times negative 2i is positive 4i squared. So let's go ahead and simplify this more. We've got 1 plus, well, we can just do this part. 2i plus 2i is plus 4i. And then we've got 4 times negative 1. So that gives us 1 plus 4i minus 4, which leaves us with the answer of negative 3 plus 4i. And that would be the answer. So go ahead, try the It's Your Turn, and we'll be right back. All right, so here are the answers for the Your Turn. Please make sure that you really understood what was going on. If not, feel free to ask me questions when we're in class. I'd be glad to help you. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.